Putting it together. Needs-based problem solving from start to finish. Hi, I'm Mike Moskalo. In this video, I'm going to summarize all of the lessons that we have discussed up until this point. This is meant to be kind of a review and a how-to put all of the tools together to actually have a needs-based collaborative problem solving discussion about any topic, whether it is interpersonal, social, political, religious, or what have you. So let's get started. Process of collaborative problem solving. In a dispute, political or otherwise, you don't need to be adversaries. You can be partners. And there are several steps to the process, 4 basically. The first step is to connect with the humanity of your partner, even if you disagree with them, even if they take positions, political or otherwise, that you may actually hate. The second step is to separate needs from positions. That in a political conversation, people usually take political positions. This is my position, that is your position. Try to look past the position. Any position is motivated by some sort of an underlying need, motive, concern, fear, or the like. Try to get past the position and identify the needs of each person in the dispute, each group, each individual, both yourself and the other. Once you identify the needs, well, you brainstorm possible solutions that meet both sets of needs at the same time without even thinking about positions. So once that's done, you bootstrap a solution. You create a novel solution, building upon all the ideas, all the solution and possibilities that you've come up with to address each party's interest. Well, build on them to jointly create a novel solution, a solution that no one's even thought of, that can solve the problem of meeting each set of needs at the same time. And the process continues. Let's break it down. So, step 1, connect with the humanity of the other. Don't start with the political problem. Don't start by discussing the positions. Start with the relationship, stupid. In fact, any attempt to solve a problem between people is always a relational problem. It always is undergirded by the relationship itself. And if you want to solve a problem, build a relationship first, or at least through the process of solving the problem. Be calm. The other person is a person. Honor their dignity and humanity throughout the process. One way to do that is exchange stories. Stories who reveal who you are. Find out who the other person is. Find out what their life experiences are, how they've come to be who they are. You'll find that there are commonalities and differences. You'll be able to appreciate the commonalities, perhaps have compassion and understanding for the differences. So that's step 1. As you do it, don't rush. Take your time. It's the important step. Honor the dignity of the other. Imagine greeting everyone with that gesture, that prayer hands gesture. You don't need to be a religious person to do that. How does it feel to be greeted in that way? It feels honored. It feels as though the other person is caring about you and what's inside of you and honoring you. Adopt that, and we'll have better conversations. Step 2, identify needs. Once you've connected with the humanity and dignity of the other, once you are prepared to honor that person as a person, even if you may disagree with them, try to separate the political positions that the person espouses from the needs, interests, concerns, and pleas that motivate them. So, here we go. Each person in a conflict will have a different position. And that different position hides a need. There's a hidden need that motivates that position. And the reason why the needs are hidden is because we're afraid to reveal them, because if we reveal them, we'll see that the other person will try to use them against us in some way. So one person might say ban guns. The other person might say don't ban guns. That's their positions. But the positions hide an underlying need. One on the left wants to ban guns because he wants to reduce gun violence. One on the right wants to keep guns because she wants to be able to protect her freedom and her family. You don't have to agree whether or not banning guns is a good solution to reducing gun violence or not banning guns is a good solution to protect your family. All you have to do is understand them. So that's what it means to begin to separate needs from positions. Once you find the need, you bring it to the surface. I want to reduce gun violence. I want to protect my freedom and my family. Now, that's all we focus on, not the positions. Don't debate positions. Don't try to convince the other that you're right and they're wrong. It won't work. If you focus on meeting interests and needs of yourself and the other, you'll find that you don't need to debate the positions because you're going to create new positions. The new solution to a problem is a kind of a new position. It's a genuine solution to a genuine problem between people. Now, how do you identify needs? How do you separate the positions from needs? Well, this is where listening mode and assertive mode come in. You want to even separate listening mode from assertive mode. You're going to have a discussion. And in that discussion, you take turns. Not simply turns one after another in the conversation. One person says one and the other person says something. Take turns between listening mode and assertive mode. What does that mean? That first, one person is in listening mode and the other is in assertive mode for some time until the person who is asserting expresses his or her needs and feels understood by the person in listening mode. And only when that happens do you switch, and the person who is in assertive mode switches and becomes into listening mode, so you get both in time. There's a thick line between these two modes. It's very important to separate them. In our everyday conversation, we don't usually do that. We'll listen, and then the other person will assert, and then we'll assert back, and then we'll assert back, and we'll make a point, we'll make a counterpoint. It's important to break that cycle. And instead, when you're in listening mode, you're there for the other person to listen and listen and listen. And that's hard. But you at least know that at some point they're going to be in that position to listen and listen for you to assert. Go back and forth between listening and assertive mode until you're able to identify each other's core needs, interests, and beliefs. Now, how does that happen? In listening mode, you're listening for your needs. When the person's in listening mode, that person listens to the other person to try to identify that person's needs. In assertive mode, well, you're asserting and identifying your own needs and expressing them to the other person. In listening mode, it's all about your partner. It's not about you. In asserting mode, it's about you and expressing your own needs. It's not about the partner or blaming the partner. So, how do you do this? When you're in listening mode, you look beyond the political positions, even if the other person states them. You're curious about those positions when they do. You ask why. Why do you believe that? Why do you say that? What problem are you trying to solve? And when you do that, that's how you get at the other person's needs and problems and interests. You listen without interrupting. It's hard. And you try to listen and remember everything the person has said. Difficult. Summarize your partner's needs and interests and concerns. Forget the positions. Look for what's under them and summarize them to the partner. And then summarize them with understanding and with some degree of empathy if you can, and allow your partner to correct you. Keep doing that over and over until the partner feels understood. The partner's needs feel understood. And then, and only then, do we switch. Now, the other partner is listening to you, and you are asserting. What does it mean to assert? You look beyond your own political positions if you can. You ask yourself, why do I believe in this position? Identify your need. What's the need that motivates it? What's the interest, the real interest that motivates it? Identify them. Express them using I statements discussed in another video. Observe, make observations about the other person if you have to. Talk about the other person. Don't criticize, don't evaluate, don't characterize. Simply make observations. Describe what the other person did if you have to describe or refer to the other person. Don't characterize. Don't use fighting words. Don't call the other person a racist or a sexist or the like. These are things that disrupt the process. Instead, Make observations, not evaluations. Keep going back and forth, again, until you've identified each person's underlying needs. And once you've done that, when you're in listening mode, you can put your own issues aside, and you'll know that you'll be able to do that because you're going to know that at some point you're going to be able to be in assertive mode and the other person will be in listening mode. Keep going back and forth. Step 3. You've got everybody's needs on the table. Everybody's interests. Let's say it's on gun rights, gun violence. One person is interested in freedom, protection, using guns. The other is interested in public safety. Well, create as many ideas as you possibly can, as many solutions as you possibly can that can meet both of those interests at the same time. And then, as you're doing that, all you do is you list. You list possibilities, ways to meet both sets of needs, all sets of needs. And you list, and you don't concern yourself with whether the solutions are good or bad or ugly or crazy. Don't evaluate them. Just list them. List good solutions. List bad solutions. List crazy solutions. List ugly solutions, because crazy and ugly solutions often tell you what is not so crazy, and they often turn out to be not so crazy themselves. Don't judge them. List them. List some more. Did I mention to list, and list? And once you've listed, you'll have so many solutions to be able to begin to bootstrap, to create, to invent a novel set of solutions, a novel solution, a novel way of being, a novel way of seeing the world, a novel set of solutions that no one has thought about before, a novel solution that meets both sets of interests. This is what it means to say that we create common ground. When we create common ground, what happens is, on the basis of our ideas, we create a solution that no one could have thought of before. The solution didn't exist unless without creating these ideas, without listening to the other people. We need the other person in order to create a solution that meets both sets of interests. When this is happening, you'll invent new solutions that neither party could have developed working alone. And that is why common ground is created and not simply found.